So for end of year reports, you have 5 aggregates, and you have 5 um, supporting reports. Okay, this is color coded based on its significance. So the aggregate reports will obviously just provide you counts, while the supporting reports would provide you more details, more attributes, or the student list of students being counted on those reports. So the important resource that you should be aware of and should have already bookmarked by now is the CalPADS report mapping guide. Okay, so the report mapping guide is available or can be accessed through the homepage in CalPADS. Click on report mapping guide, and it provides you details of the reports. So we go to end of year one report mapping guide, and you have here the aggregate reports, and you have the supporting reports. So if you notice, some of these reports already have been retired, and so we have identified that in here because we still had this just so you have guidance on if you decided to look at all the reports in CalPADS. Okay? So let's look at each of the reports. Let's discuss the use of each report in CalPADS. So report 3.9, course sections completed count by content area. So this report just counts all of the departmentalized course sections, and it provides you the different content area specific to that state course code. It also provides you some attributes like the departmentalized course standards that's being used, as well as the number of course sections for that specific state course code, and of course the number of male students, females, non-binary. Okay, so it provides you the total count of all of the students enrolled in those sections based on that information. So you would say, how do you guys determine the content area? Again, what's the important document to refer to? If I look at content area, is a valid code combo. Thank you, Lou. So if you go here, you would see this content area section. See how you have career tech for CTE? So that's essentially the source of that information. So you have your CTE, and then if you scroll to the bottom, you have your all of those content area based on the state course code that you pick. So just a note, since we are counting, the students in there, a student in multiple course sections related to the one local course ID is only counted once. Okay, so this essentially shows an unduplicated count based on the local course ID. A student with the same course section and term with multiple marking periods is only counted only once as well. Okay, so if you have semester 1 and semester 2, if it's within the same local course ID, the student will be only counted once. All right, moving on to the next report is 3.10. This is essentially also a report that provides you the counts of students. However, it provides you more details based on the attributes in the CRSC file, right? So if you have a course that it provides you the type of grade level range, again, the content standards, local course ID information. It also indicates if the course is a CTE course, if it's UCCSU approved, all of those yes or no indicators or drop down fields that you've identified for the course, all of those attributes will be included on this report. So if 3.9 is just only counts and the content area, 3.10 will provide you more information. Okay, so it also will indicate if the course is a dual credit or college credit, or if it's an APIB course. So it provides you all of that information. And then also if the course is independent study, distance learning, all of those good stuff that you've indicated in the CRSC record, all of those are reflected in here. And then at the end, it still provides you the counts of the same state course codes or sections. This section here is essentially used in providing the counts of CTE courses or the counts of courses that provide that you've indicated as college courses. So if you're looking for that report, this is that report. Um, you also have to make sure that there are filters that you have to consider if you just want to filter for those specific courses. So if you just want to say, hey, I just want to find college credit courses and military science courses, uh, then you filter those courses either eh, and then you also then if you just want to see a CTE course that you've marked as college credit, you then filter it based on that combo. All right. So to identify how is a report useful, you can always determine that by looking at the specific reports filters. So in the CalPAS user manual, it provides you a description. Yes, it does. However, if you scroll to the bottom, you can see all of this information you have here. Okay, oh, I can essentially know the gender or find ethnicities, filter um, for students in these classes based on ethnicity, or find CTE courses based on whether if that course is a college course or not, or I can find a military leadership course and see how many students are in there. So all of those information can be determined by just looking at that report filters in the user manual, or obviously in the actual report, right? And then report 3.11. This is essentially the student list. Okay. So aside from the attributes you have in the CRSE, it also looks at the other student specific information that's in the SCSC file, as well as in the greater student profile information, the gender that you have in demographics. If the student is a SPED student, then the primary disability will also appear here based on the information you had in the, I believe, where's the disability in the plan record. So that's where you could you would the information would be derived in. So so if you want to know the list of students in each of those courses, by just clicking on that specific school, it would bring you to 3.11. Okay, or let me see here. I believe the link is the courses. Okay, so this section here would be derived from the SCSC. This section on the SPED section, this section is ethnicity and race. Then all of these are from the CRSC file. Okay. So how is this useful? If you want to know the list of students that are aggregated on those different content areas, or you know, if who are in a college course or CTE course, then you could this is the report you have to look at. All right, we also have report 3.14, CTE non-completer participants count. So this report reflects all of your students who um, who completed a CTE class, regardless if the student is in a pathway or not. So essentially, if you submitted, if the student completed a CTE course, may it be an intro, a concentrator, or a capstone course, but that student does not have the SCTE record for this year, especially with the capstone course, then that student would be part of this report. Okay? So any non-completer students would be in this report. So if you have a student just taking a capstone course just for elective and is not in a capstone program, that student would be here as well. So the important thing that you need to know is that 3.14, 15, and 19 and 20, all of those by default would only reflect courses marked as high quality CT course indicator equal to Y. Okay? So this report is used, because the assumption is you have the Perkins funding, you're receiving Perkins funding or CTEIG funding, and you have to justify that you are providing high quality CTE courses to your students, right? So by definition, if all of those courses have highly qualified CTE teachers as indicated by that Y indicator, those by default, if you just click on run, CalPAS will just show all of those students here. So more often than not, we always get tickets wherein, hey, how come we're missing some courses in this area? Or how come I all have zeros in here? That's because probably you're not receiving funding, or probably you just created some programmatic error in terms of marking that indicator, which is the highly qualified CT indicator, as a no. So if it's a no, by default, it won't show in this report. However, if all of your courses are marked as a yes, then those courses will appear by default if you click on run. However, if you want to see your courses that isn't marked as HQT yes, then you need to make sure that the Perkins CTIG fundable is set to all. Because by default, this is a Y. It only shows you a yes. So make sure that you mark this as a all. That way, all of the courses that are CTE courses based on the state course code will appear in this report. Okay. So what does this report provide you? This provides you the CTE industry sector. It provides you the total count of non-completer participants. And then, of course, all of the student groups that are core indicators that are being collected in this report. So you have here students who are special ed, students who miss the economically disadvantaged subgroup, meaning you have a program 181, 182, they were probably directly certified, or you have uh, all of those criteria that meets the economically disadvantaged subgroup would then be counted. And then, of course, if you have students who are ELs, who are foster youth, tribal foster youth, homeless, and armed forces family member, would be included in here, as well as single parents. So the single parents column would be based on that parent and pregnant parent uh, student program record that you report for the student in CalPED. So if that is if you've submitted if or claimed that the student is in a uh, parenting and or pregnant, then the student will be included in here. So again, it all boils down to going to the CalPED's user manual report mapping guide and knowing the different columns that this represents. So 3.14, let's go back to 3.14. Then you have that indicator that you need to be aware of. And then you have all of the different columns and the source of the counts from those columns. Okay. So see here you have your foster youth, you have armed forces, you have 162, which is the pregnant and parenting program. So, and then you have here the counts for those students in plans, okay, for the special ed column. All right, so that's 3.14, that's the count. Now, again, the indicators are this. You have your SPED students, you have your economically disadvantaged subgroup, which is outlined here. You have your single parents and non-traditional gender, which is associated with the field. So this non-traditional gender would then again be reflected on the valid code combinations document. So if you go to the course combo, there is a column for non-traditional gender here. Here, this one here, column G. Okay. So this column G would then dictate how the course is represented in that report. All right, 3.15 is the list. So it just lists all of the students in that CTE course. Again, if you run this without switching the Perkins CTE IG fundable filter to all, and that course did not have a highly qualified CTE teacher marked as a yes, then obviously you won't see anything. So make sure that you switch the filter to all to be able to see all of those students listed in the course. All right, 3.16 educational options course completion student count. So these are essentially, this is a report based on, again, the indicator that you provided in the CRSC file, right? So it provides you the count of students who are in courses marked as independent study for distance learning, or if the course is part of the California Partnership Academy, or if you mark it as AVID course, or it's an IB course. So, so if the course is marked with any of these indicators, that course would be reflected here, and it's just based on um, it's just an aggregate count of the students in those courses in those in this educational option courses. All right, 3.19, these are your CTE completers count by pathways. Okay, so again, the student will only appear here if the student completed the capstone course this year and you submitted an SCTE pathway CTE completer record in this current academic year. Okay, so that combination. If you don't meet both, the student won't appear here. Okay, so obviously, if you have a student who only took a elective course, even though they took a capstone course, that student won't be part of this report. Okay, and then again, you have the different attributes in the courses, and so it provides you all of the courses in here and all of the counts of courses marked in with these attributes. So you have your economically disadvantaged, you have your the non-traditional course based on the gender column, and then you have the different core indicators as well. And then 3.20 is just the list. 18.1, work-based learning count. This essentially counts all of those students who completed courses and you submitted work-based learning records for those students. So again, make sure that those students are in specific courses that endorse the different work-based learning. Okay, so you have your internship, student-led enterprise, simulated work-based learning, all of those good stuff. And then 18.2 is your student list, provides you the type of work-based learning, the internship ID, and the specific hours that those students met based on the work-based learning hours that you've submitted for those students. All right, so those reports will be used for the dashboard and for data aggregation. And so the dashboard will, if you claim based on the CT completer report or work-based learning, the student might appear as prepared in for college courses or prepared for career for careers in the employment industry based on those information that you provide us. But then again, bottom line here is that if the student met CTE courses or met college courses or all of those stuff, you can't double dip on claiming those students. CalPads and the dashboard will only count the student once based on those eligibility.